All right. Hi, everyone. Stephanie again with the patient story. And Ray, you just got through telling us about your first line, therapy, going through chemo, the induction therapy, and then, of course, the stem cell transplant process. And now I'd love to talk about this segment of living with myeloma. And that includes, of course, maintenance therapy, just this ongoing treatment that you need to take to keep the myeloma numbers good and at bay. And so you don't have to deal with relapse. So can you talk to me about the regimen that you're on right now? I know it's a different sort of dose. It's still the Revlimid and the Velcade, but you said it's 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and still you have the every 2 weeks of the Velcade injections and a lower dose of Revlimid.
Yes. So, I was my second birthday. The day that my stem cells were given back to me was November 5th. I know I engrafted around November, 16th or so like that. I probably started maintenance meds in February again. And I was kind of bummed out because my maintenance regimen was Revlimid and Velcade. And I was like, well, I just went through a little garden walk through hell just a couple of months ago, and I'm back to the same thing minus the dexamethasone, and I was like, what? And, my specialist, my doctor, you did the right thing. You beat the thing down. That's the whole idea. Just, beat your myeloma down to like the lowest possible level that you can, and then do the maintenance therapy. So my Velcade is now half of what it used to be. So instead of weekly injections, it's biweekly injections. And then my Revlimid dosage is now 10 milligrams. Currently, I'm at 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off. It's been a juggle now, trying to figure out what's right. It's been over a year that it was 28 days, 7 off. And then it was, it's ranged from that to now 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Trying to figure it out right. I still suffer from a low white blood cell count. I've only had to miss one treatment though. Once my neutrophils were too low to do a treatment, and so we passed on the Velcade injection. But trying to get that right where the new normal for me. I think I'll always have a low white blood cell count, but we're trying to get the right meds for the new normal.
Gotcha. Yep, the new normal. I know you said that for follow-ups, you have labs done every time you have that Velcade injection. So it's every other week, but you see your doctor, your heme onc, about once every other month or so at this point. This question is more just about the mental aspect of it. How has it been, right? In terms of adjusting to this, what you call new normal. You've got these follow-ups, it's very regular. And it's not like you see in the movies, someone got cancer and then they had treatment and it's gone or whatever, right? It's not this curable thing. It's more of a chronic illness type structure. So how have you been able to adjust mentally to that lifestyle?
Yeah, it's a bit of a leash, I feel, at this point in time. Like I'm chained to an oncology center that I have to be there every 2 weeks, right? And so, I'm trying to kind of come to terms with that because I want to figure out. My kids are out of the house now, and Laura and I wanted to, where do we want to live? And that's, change is always difficult. Change when it comes to your healthcare and these professionals that you deal with, that's a huge complication. I'm like, well, if I move out of the area, then I no longer have, my doctors, my specialists and things like that. So, mentally, it's this idea that I'm tied to, I need an infusion every 2 months, every 2 weeks. And so, can I go to Northern Italy for a month and hang out? I can, but I'll be missing a treatment. And so, is that the best thing to do? So it's been. I quickly overcame my disappointment. When it was like, 3 months after my transplant, and they're saying, okay, here's your regimen thing, and I was disappointed. Like, why did I go through this? I quickly overcame that. It's just. You get kind of used to it. It's a way of life, and that's what you do. But I do like, Stephanie, that you talk about the kind of like the mental component of it, because that's I got my strength back pretty quickly. Rebounded, I think, physically pretty well. A friend of mine on a New Year's resolution, like it was like in March of 2020, I guess it was, and so a few months after my transplant, she was just giving her an update on Facebook. Her New Year's resolution, she was going to walk 1,000 miles. And I thought, walk 1,000 miles? That's something I could get behind. I could do that, because I'd already been walking a little bit. but I probably only had about 100 miles into me, but I'm like, that's my goal. I want to do 1,000 miles in 2020. So I did, and I'm at like 750 right now for this year. So it's I've taken my physical exercise is important. It's always been important to me, but I think it's important here. It makes me feel better, and when I feel better, it also helps me then exercise. I like to talk to other patients. Talk about just normal human behavior. A lot of us set New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the year, and a lot of it goes around the physicality aspect of I'm going to work out more, or I'm going to smoke less, or I'm going to drink less, or I'm going to eat better, or whatever. They have these resolutions, and they last pretty well for like 3 weeks. And then it's like, I'm too tired to go to the gym. So I'm just going to sit on the couch, and I'll sit on the couch 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row. And it's just really easy to do that. And, as a cancer patient, take advantage of the days that you're feeling good, go out there and do something. Being a cancer patient, you don't want to work out because you just don't feel like it. You don't, but you need to, you need to prepare your body for your medications. You need to have that type of power and strength and energy to be able to shop for yourself and to prepare healthy meals, go to the doctor, take your medicines. And so it's, overcoming that kind of mental aspect of it. For me, we were talking earlier, before the episode, for me, I like to view myself as this kind of like, a system of subcomponents. And there's that physical component, a mental component, emotional and spiritual, and they all are interrelated. And they all play amongst themselves. And so, I need to kind of be alert on when one of those might be down and, help push that back up through something else. Maybe it's a change in the frame of my mind, how I'm feeling, those aspects to get me to take care of myself as a whole person, as opposed to kind of like maybe a focus on one of those areas, but like one or more of those other areas decline to depreciate to a point that it drags other areas down with it.
And as you're talking about this wholeness, I did want to touch on you said complementary therapies have been a part of how you take care of yourself as well. How would you summarize, like in terms of guidance to other people, on what you feel has helped you, in this?
Yeah, going through my induction therapies in particular, I was aware of a local organization here. They told me right away to, my doctors, like, try these things out. You can get grants for these complementary therapies. Very specifically with this organization is acupuncture, acupressure, visual imaging, not visual imaging like radiology, but, visual imaging. And there's a couple of other modalities that I can't recall. For me, it was, I never, the idea is, try some of these complementary therapies. They're not going to cure your cancer, but maybe they can help you feel better, right? And for me, it was trying acupuncture and also acupressure for skin and for fatigue. And one I did not mention earlier, insomnia. So I can tell you that acupuncture, I used to fall asleep during the treatments. So that must have helped a little bit with insomnia. But it was good to try those out. It's something I would not have tried on my own, something that insurance doesn't cover. This particular organization I was, made available to, got a grant to try these things out. And that's what they want you to do, is within this organization, to try out these different modalities and see what might work for you. And if acupressure doesn't work for you, that's great. Don't do it. But maybe you might find like acupuncture does. And then if it does, well, what's it hurt to, give it a little bit of a go and see if it helps alleviate some of these symptoms that, like we talked a little earlier, sometimes it's the treatments that are more problematic in the way that you feel than the cancer itself.
Absolutely. Thank you for describing that. I know some people are very curious about these sort of complementary therapies that are getting more popular in different sort of academic centers. They have like integrative medicine and stuff like that. So talking about the wholeness too, it's difficult to feel whole without support. And so I wanted to talk about first caregivers. I know your wife, Lori, has been a huge part of that, but I'd love for you to frame it in terms of what was the most important kind of support for you to get from both your family, immediate family, and anyone who asked you if you needed help.
Yeah, it's interesting when people, when I first was diagnosed, how can I help you? It's like, I'm feeling good. I don't think I need any help. Well, how can I help you? I don't really need any help. How can I help you? I don't really need any help. Took somebody at group to share with me that, people want to help you, but it's not just to help you, it's also to help themselves, because they feel your support group feels helpless. They care for you and they love you, and they feel better if they know they can do something for you. So, consider that. Like, I don't need someone to drive me to my doctor's appointment. But if you need to drive me to my doctor's appointment, Stephanie, then let's have you drive me, right? So for me, accepting help initially was kind of difficult. I needed somebody from my support group to kind of set me straight on it. It's like, it's not always about, it is about you, but it's also about them. So getting help, I think, is important. What was meaningful to me is this great network of folks that my wife and I have, and these friends. And it means the world to me that it's not people standing behind me as I go into this fight. There are people right next to me, arm in arm with me, and that strength in numbers, it means everything to me. And, I'm so grateful for the people that have, I'm not even gonna call it stepped up. They're there for me. They care about me. And I don't feel, like I said, like they're behind me. I feel as though they're next to me, and there's a difference, right? And so I'm thankful for that, and everyone needs that. And I feel as though it's my role, my responsibility to the patient community, the caregiver community. When I was first diagnosed, they were asking me, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? And then my answer was nothing. And then it finally got to the point where I was speaking in front of so many groups, sharing my story, that I actually came up with a list. There's actually 4 precise things that you can do for me. And we've already talked about one of them. One of them is go to your doctor. I would have been in a much worse situation if I hadn't gone to my doctor. And I went to a doctor for a specific thing. It was not general maintenance. I'd been about a year and a half since I'd had a blood test. Go to your doctor, get a blood test, do it for yourself, right? The second thing is that we all have twos in our life. I call them the twos, TOO. And you don't need a doctor. You don't need me to tell you what those twos are, but mitigate your risks. And they're all associated with the twos. Drink too much, smoke too much, eat too little vegetables, eat too much red meat, whatever. And we all know what those are. Mitigate your risks, number 2. Number 3, if you know somebody who's going through a health issue alone, or even if not alone, but particularly if they're going through alone, reach out to them. Because it is so helpful to have. I can't imagine going through this without my primary caregiver, Lori, but just my support community. I know, and I've been there, and ashamedly, I didn't reach out to people in the past in my life because I didn't know what to say. It's like, well, what do I say? I don't know what to say. And so I tell people I've been there and I'm ashamed of it. But start with what you do know. And that is, you don't know what to say. So start that conversation off with, like, Stephanie, I don't know what to say, but I love you and I care for you. And I'm hoping that we can get through this difficult conversation because I want to be here and support you, right? Reach out to those people. And number 4, find something that you're passionate about and give your time, give your money, give both, right? Health is difficult. I was unaware before I started my cancer journey that, 33% of the people in the United States, 1 out of 3, are going to be diagnosed with cancer sometime in their lifetime. Depending on the study that you read. If you read another study, you'll see 4 out of 10 will be diagnosed. It affects either you or affects somebody very close to you in your professional and personal network. But even if it's not cancer, if it's some other health issue, find out what you're passionate for, and look for ways to contribute, because we're all in this together. And as a cancer patient, I never feel more strong than I do when I'm around my people and I know they're with me.
Wow, so beautifully said, Ray. Honestly, I mean, I love those 4 tips that really were more than 4. You had so many great nuggets in there, I think, that people can take away from this conversation. And I just want to say thank you for spending so much time today to share your story, but beyond that, really be so vulnerable and open in the spirit of helping other people.
It's my pleasure. I do want to add that, when I was reading through different books, upon diagnosis, a lot of diet books. Cancer Fighting Kitchen's a great book. I think Beating Cancer is another one. You'd hear some of these antidotes from people. It's like, like the best day of my life was the day I was diagnosed, and reframing that thing. And I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite ready to say that I've made that. But cancer hasn't taken away my life and parts of my life. It's enriched my life, and let me explain that. Right. So, prior to my diagnosis, I had a lot of different roles in my life. I was a father and a husband and a son and a brother and a worker, a boss, a teammate, a bandmate. I had all these roles, and with each one of these roles came purpose, right? Cancer didn't take any of those roles away. It just added more. It enriched my life. Now I am a patient, and I am part of a larger patient community that is awe-inspiring. People like you, Stephanie, who have been there and done that and are showing others the way. I mean, that is just inspiring, and it's motivating. And so, me being a member of this patient community, and I can look around, I can go to a place like the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation's walk in San Francisco. I went like 3 weeks after I was diagnosed, and I'm looking at my heroes, these healthy, vibrant cancer patients that were wearing a different colored shirt than everybody else, participating in this thing. That's me. And they're showing me how to live with myeloma. It's my job to help the person behind me reach back and pull them up to me and show them how to live too. So, cancer's giving me that. Cancer's giving me a role as a patient advocate, as an advocate for the caregiver community. Man, going through a stem cell transplant is tough. You asked for some photos, Stephanie. My wife, kind of the official photographer of the 2019 stem cell transplant tour. She got emotional when I even asked her for those photos. It's very easy for me to get kind of caught up in my journey, but I know what I can do, and I know what I can take, and what I can handle. And even through the tough days of stem cell transplant, your loved ones don't. The patient community, the caregivers, they don't know. And so there's a lot that they carry with them. And, there's those men and women are so brave. And so, whatever I can do for the caregiver community, the patient community, again, these are all roles that I didn't have before. I wish I did, I wish I'd been a bit more aware, but now I am aware because I am a patient. But these are other roles. They have other purposes associated with them. And, one of the things I want to share, particularly with people early on in their diagnosis and their journey, is that, it's everybody's different. If you are thinking that cancer is taking things away from you, also look at it the other way around. I wouldn't go so far as call it a gift, but that does add things to your life, and those things can be very enriching and very rewarding. And so don't lose sight of that. And like we've discussed before, and I know you've lived this. This is a perfect example of the patient story. But giving back and pulling others up, and great admiration for what you do. Thank you for what you do, and any small thing that I can do for anybody. I love talking to new patients about multiple myeloma and what I've done and what they might be able to. I do want people to, when they're diagnosed, there's a lot left to live for, a lot left to do, a lot of purpose, and if there's anything I can do to help any individual out, I hope I'm aware of it, because I want to jump at the opportunity. And again, thank you for everything that you do. A great deal of respect and admiration, and also inspiration, motivation.
Well, likewise, it goes the other way too, Ray. And your story is going to undoubtedly help so many people out there. So thank you again for taking so much time to do this.
My pleasure. I hope it hasn't been too much. I never met a word I didn't like to say or didn't like to write. Right. So I can talk. I could talk forever, and I just appreciate the media, the opportunity. So thank you.
Absolutely. And for everyone who is interested in Ray's entire story, all of the segments, we'll drop links also to your blog, to the local organization that has been helpful to you. You can all find that at thepatientstory.com, where you'll find human answers to your cancer questions.